welcome.
Thank you.
If you can introduce yourself to us.
My name is Johnny Howe.
Nice to meet you, Johnny.
Nice to meet you.
What can you tell us from your experience as a lifer?
So as a lifer, I went to prison at the age of 17. Did 28 years, paroled February 13th, 2018. So as a lifer, one thing that I realized, I didn't see a lot of opportunities the first 20 years. And then when I did start seeing opportunities, they were actually from the other lifers who were there. Someone would go to board and they would get denied for a certain reason, and then we would find ways to address those needs. So as lifers, we worked as a community. We sat there on the yard, sometimes 20 people, and we would ask each other board questions, and then we'd give people feedback. Supported people in ways, encouraged people, started groups, facilitated groups, and just gave back to my community.
If you can you tell us what led up to your time in prison?
Definitely. So at the age of 17, I was participating as a gang member and a criminal, an alcoholic, a drug addict. And so we had drove out to Temecula to pick up methamphetamine at the time. And we stopped at a liquor store, and I was the youngest. So they're like, hey, we need gas and beer, but we don't have money for both, so we're going to get gas. And I'm like, I'm willing to do a beer run, which is you run in the store and run out. And then what happened was I went in, paid for the gas, came back out, and then we ran back in the store, stole 2 cases of beer each, me and a partner of mine. We ran out, I put the beer in the car. The store clerk had followed us out and tackled the guy that I was with. When I looked, the store clerk was on top of the guy I was with. I pulled out a rifle and I shot and I murdered him for $27.96 alcohol. And then from then, I just continued my criminal behavior in prison for the next 20 years and lived as a criminal and a drug addict and gang member.
During those 20 years, what was prison like for you?
It was more like a badge of honor. It was something I looked forward to. My family was incarcerated. So for me, fitting in and belonging was what was important, and I knew what to do for that, which is, be violent, use drugs, sell drugs, commit crimes, and just continue to participate in criminal behavior.
And would you say your mentality changed while you were inside?
Definitely had to. It had to. There's a few things that contributed to that transformation. One was there's a lady by the name of Coach Taylor, and she runs an organization called Getting Out by Going In. And she comes in 2010, and she's like, hey, if you want to be free, be of service to your community. I didn't know what it meant at the time, but I wrote it down. In 2010, I went to board to hopefully be found suitable for parole. I went to board and I walked out with a 15-year denial. And I was like, well, that didn't work. So a buddy of mine went to board after me, and somebody I knew from juvenile hall. And he was like, hey, if there was someone getting you in trouble, preventing you from going home and being with your family, would you consider that person a friend or would you consider him an enemy? And I was like, that guy would be my worst enemy. And he tells me, what are you doing to yourself? And I was like, damn, what am I doing? And I think another big contribution to that was I participated in a 3-day seminar where they asked me to write out a 10-year vision. In 10 years, what do you want your life to look like? And I was like, I just got denied 15 years. I'm going to be in prison. And they're like, no, if you can have anything in 10 years, what would it look like? So I told them, look, I want to be an alcohol and drug counselor. I want to be married, and I want to be out of prison. So I went home, I did the assignment, I came back, and I said, look, I did your assignment, but I'm going to be in prison. I got a 15-year denial. And they're like, well, the invitation is to start living from your future. And I'm like, what does that mean? So what happened was they told me to start making decisions for my future. So would an alcohol and drug counselor go and sell heroin on the yard? I said, not a good one. Would somebody want to get out of prison, go stab somebody on the yard? I'm like, no. So I started making decisions for my future, and that changed the way I looked at life, changed the way I participated in life, changed the way that I made decisions.
And after you got out, what was that like?
It was a little scary. I was in prison for 28 years, like I said, and I knew what to expect. Out here, it was a little bit different. Something they didn't tell me about in prison was credit. And I get out, and after 6 months, me and my wife get us a place, and I'm like, hey, I want to get the kitchen set. So I go and they're like, okay, we need to run your credit. And what happened was they came back and be like, yeah, you got to come back in 6 months and put this much down. And my wife was like, okay, run my credit. So they run her credit, and they're like, where do you want us to drop it off tomorrow? And I was like, damn, that's how credit works. So no one told me about credit when I was in prison. But it's been a blessing. there's a short story I'll share with you, and it's about perspective. And there's a lady who gets hit by a car and loses her leg, and she thinks her world is over. No one's gonna want her, and she goes to the doctor, and she sees a little boy walk in, and he's missing an eye, and she asks the little boy, "What's wrong with you?" And he's like, "Nothing. I'm a pirate." And she's thinking like, "Damn, this little kid's missing an eye, and thinks he's a pirate." So the doctor calls her up, and the little boy sees her, and the little boy asks her, "What's wrong with you? Because you're missing a leg." And she's like, "Nothing. I'm a pirate too." So that quick, I understand, like when I experience certain feelings or emotions, like what I'm thinking about contributes to how I feel. So I could think something different and in turn, feel something different.
And now that you're out, how did you become affiliated with Barrios, and how did you run into Nani?
Oh, so when I was in prison, there was a day we got to get out of prison free. And that was the day that Nani came. Nani come, everybody knew. We'd all get dolled up and iron our clothes and be ready to dance and sing and laugh and cry. And it was a one day every 2-3 months where we weren't in prison. And he would ask for writings, and I would contribute some writings or poems, and any way that I can contribute, I would. And me and Nani became close. And the day I got out, he invited me here, and he had some folklorico dancers, and he had food for me, and he treated me like his brother. So ever since then, we've kept in touch and just continue to do the work.
And is there, with your experiences with BU, is there anything maybe we could help? If we went back in time, was there anything you would change with what we've done or what Nani has done for you?
Man, Nani has done more for me than my own father has. And for me, I wish there was more people that were allowed to participate in those events. With the gym capacity at 100, and you have like 1,500 people on the yard, being able to experience something new and challenge your thoughts and be able to smile and not try to look like you're a tough guy the whole day is a blessing, and it's a gift. Knowing that there's something different and knowing that someone believes in us. The only thing that I would try to do, and I don't even think it has nothing to do with Barrios Unidos, it's just prison, reform, is that allowing more people to see what he has to offer.
And is there any wisdom you'd like to share to maybe your younger self or anyone who is going into the prison system or in danger of going into it?
Definitely. So one thing that I found out after about 40 years of living is that I had something called self-talk. And what that is I'm having an internal conversation with myself. And for many years, I didn't challenge it. I didn't question it. I just went along and did what I thought I was supposed to do as a criminal and a gang member and a drug addict and alcoholic. It came to a point in my life where I started paying attention to it. And I started challenging it. And I started realizing, like, I don't have to let that drive my behavior. I didn't have to make decisions from a thought that I was having. So for me, understanding that life is what I make it. And the choices that I make contribute to the life that I want to live. So just evaluate my thoughts, listen to the self-talk, and be around people who are doing what you want to do. Nani and people like that who are contributing to the world instead of taking is something that I want to do and get involved with that.